Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing mediumship reading on XXXTentacion. This is a rapper who was shot and killed, gunned down here recently, and my condolences go out to the family of this young man. He was only about 20 years old, so it's a very sad case. This video has been highly requested by a lot of my viewers, so just please keep it civilized in the comments section below, out of, due to respect to his family. Okay, so what I see exactly around him is that he was a person who he saw the world, through the eyes of wanting to be famous and wanting to have. He had that hunger, that thirst to succeed, and he wanted to do, go into rapping, songwriting, all that from a very, very early young age. I'm getting like he would have gotten, like, even when he was around 6 or 7, he would have loved music. He already kind of knew his soul contract was to do music and to produce music, and and be in the music world. So he definitely was, someone who knew exactly what he was wanting to accomplish. However, when I tune into his soul, I do get that there was a lot of regrets that he does have. I'm getting the messages, that there was things that he would love to have changed if he could go back, but he couldn't change, certain things that he was immersed in and things that he would have been exposed to at a very young age. I do feel like he did fall into the wrong crowd, uh, closer to his passing, and he was actually trying to change that lifestyle, because I get like he would have been someone who had a troubled youth, someone who would have, had a lot of depression, someone who would have had struggling, with a lot of different issues going on through his head. I feel like, he was angry at the world. That's kind of like the sensation, and he would not be one that would, hold back on his emotions or anything that he was thinking of. If somebody crossed him and they made him mad, he would, verbally, I get that he would verbally, just attack them and let them know exactly what was going on and how he wouldn't be disrespected. So there's like a gang mentality around him, and I feel like he would have been affiliated or associated with a gang. So I don't know anything about him. I don't know if he was in a gang at one point, but this is what I'm getting from spirit, that he would have had some kind of affiliation with them. But when he started getting more into the music, it almost feels like he wanted to get away from that negativity, but he couldn't. And there were still people in a gang, is what I'm getting, that would have been still following him and still on him, and pressuring him, um, to do certain things. But again, he was trying to move out of that. And there's a lot of other things, that I'm getting that his soul was wrapped in, there was a lot of substances, dependencies. There was, I also feel like, violence surrounding him. He could have, have assaulted someone at one point. I do get a lot of this energy around him, that he would have been someone that, would have not been able to control his emotions. And it's sad because, when I'm bringing a lot of these painful things up in this reading, um, it's something, there's a lot of youth out there that are this man's age or younger that are going through these kind of issues. And if it only was, people blame the parents, for this, they automatically want to blame the family for the choices that their children make. But sometimes the family is not responsible, to a certain point. Sometimes, the world, the way it is, it's so chaotic, and there's so many energies that are, that some of the youth finds attractive, but they're really darker energies. And if, you are going through something like this with your own children, and you're not speaking up or trying to stop them as best as you can, then, you're not helping the situation. You would need to, if you're going through this, seek out some help, get some counseling for your children or for any family member that you know is going through this, because I feel like in many cases he was kind of almost abandoned. Not to be disrespectful or anything, but I feel like he didn't have that kind of structure in his life, someone to be looked up to, like a role model. The role model that he would have had would have been someone within the industry that was a rapper, kind of like a mentor to him, and that's who he would have, kind of associated with more. But I feel like he wouldn't have opened up to his family, not even to his girlfriend, or to his mother. I feel like he wasn't the type of person to be very emotional, and he was emotional, but not to the point to kind of like open up and really, pour his heart and soul out. So if you're going through something like this, know that there is hope, but you have to have communication with them and let them know that it's going to be okay. This is not something, because I feel like in many ways that his passing could have been prevented in many, many, many ways. If he would have had the right people. But when I get into his passing, it's like he knew more or less. His soul knew that this was coming, and he could feel it. A lot of times when this happens, when people are going to cross or exit this world, our souls know and can feel it at a certain point, before it happens. I get that there was at least 4 to 5 men involved in this, even though they have, the news, has said that they've caught 2 suspects. I'm getting 4 to 5 men, and I'm getting that these are people who he would have known. This was not a random attack. It was definitely, I'm getting that it was planned out, very planned out and thought out, and they were following him, and they knew exactly where he was going to be and how they were going to carry this out. But there was different plans and discussions, is what I'm getting, from the people who would have carried out his murder, because I'm getting like a scene playing in my mind of how they would have had it done, discussed. How they would have wanted to have it done was, what I saw was like him coming out of a club or somewhere very, at nighttime, dark, and they would have been waiting in the parking lot and would have, tackled him and carried him into the van and then executed him somewhere else. So delving into the minds of these criminals, I'm getting that there would have been a second, another plan that they had to carry out his murder, but they changed it up at the last minute and they ended up doing it during the daylight hours, um, or during the daytime, whenever this would have happened. But they did it. The point is that however it was carried out, wherever he was shot at, is that's not what I'm getting, where they would have initially wanted to do it. So I feel like the other guys that they did catch or that are suspects right now, they're not going to necessarily speak, because again I get this, like, there's drugs involved in a lot of this. There's a gang involved. I get that there is a large group of people who would have known about this. Um, and I feel like he was warned at some point that this was going to go down, but he took the threat lightly. And that is what I'm getting from, this whole energy, um, and from his soul and from the visions that I, have been channeling and that I'm being shown. Um, and I just get that he was thinking perhaps in his back of his mind, that this was just an idle threat or something that would not have been carried out, but it was. And there's some finality. And when I tune into his soul, I don't get that his soul would have crossed over yet. I feel like his soul is still here earthbound, and will be for a little bit, until justice is served, and justice will be served. I do feel like it will be some time, maybe a year or two, before this case is fully investigated and processed, and they may even have to reopen it. But there is definitely 4 to 5 men that are involved in this. And like I said, associates, people that would have been involved in a gang connected to this, his passing. Um, it's just so sad, and there's a lot of turmoil, people that are angry, people that were in XXXTentacion's family, who would be very irate and wanting like revenge, because I feel like the people that were on his side, people that he would have been associated with, those people are seeking kind of like a revenge and justice. And I feel like this is something that is in between, gang members. That's what it boils down to. And I get that, it's something where there's going to be like a big fight, this is not ending. It's like they took one of, their family members, because that's how they considered them, family. They took someone out, and now they're going to take somebody else out. And so it wouldn't surprise me, if later on we see something surface. I don't know where he was from. I believe I had heard that he was from Florida, but wherever he was from, you know, y'all stay tuned to the news if you're listening to this video, because I do feel very much so that there is going to be a retaliation. That's what I kind of get, and that somebody else is going to be taken out from a rival, from the rival gang that agreed to do this to him. But this almost feels like the mafia, but also like gangs. So that's the way it's coming through. But it definitely is people who have money, dirty money, of course. People who have connections, and people who, these men are, they vary. Like I get like in their 20s, I get one in the 30s, one in the 40s, even up into the like mid 50s. So it's like a different, a tier of people that kind of escalates up. But that's what I'm getting, that is the psychic impressions that I'm getting. And I do feel like he would have had some kind of firearm around him or close to him, but he didn't get a chance to use it. That's what I'm kind of getting. So I feel like a lot that is being reported by the media, is some of the details are not necessarily accurate, and some of them are being omitted for the police investigation, whatever they're doing, for this case. But yeah, I feel so bad for the family, and the girlfriend, and I just get that there's just so much turmoil that is surrounding, and it's going to linger. Eventually, his soul will cross over, but if he could turn back the hands of time, what he would have done differently would have been to not have associated himself with these people. But it almost feels like he had to associate himself with these people, because through them was how he was able to get into the music industry how he wanted to. So there's going to be a lot more that's going to be uncovered, and a lot more in the next couple of weeks that we will see in the media, that will be surrounding, his case and the people that love him. But this is definitely something that I'm getting, from spirit and from his soul. And he will get to a good place and eventually cross, but he's waiting for justice to be served. And again, that's something that is going to be ongoing. But eventually he will cross over. So there's just a lot of pain that's surrounding, his soul right now, and the family themselves. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you did like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. Please, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like to set up a private reading with me, you can go to my website. That's www.raymondguzman.net/shop. Blessings and love and light, and have an amazing day.